I would say that learning is a permanent procedure. That is why you call lawyers practice. It is not like I am a lawyer. People always say that I'm practicing as a lawyer, I'm practicing as an advocate, which shows that you can never really be perfect. Even if you die a Ram Jethmalani, you will still be practicing. Nobody is perfect. And they all say that practice till you are perfect. And in this profession, you can never be perfect.
Hello everyone, we are here today again with Dr. Swati Garg. We want to introduce her as the best female lawyer, I would say, who has opened her office doors for every student or learner because she is that humble that she can accept the realities of life and she can guide you through the whole process with a smile on her face. Welcome, ma'am, and thank you for accepting our invite at SuperLawyer for our YouTube channel.
Absolutely. See, I have a background of more than 15 years of teaching experience. And I tell all my students that, look, guys, you're most welcome to my office. Anytime that you need any support in understanding a matter, in filing a matter, in taking it ahead, in arguing the matter, feel free. Don't ever think that because you're first generation lawyers, you don't have an office, you don't have the staff. I tell them that you have me, and you will not believe that my office is actually the DU adda of the place. At any point of time, all my students are here. They just drop in, ये करना है मैम, इसको review कर दो, ये कर दो, and I love it. I mean, I feel कि as a senior आप दे ही क्या सकते हो अपने junior को, right? I have been extremely lucky. People were very kind to me, and I just feel what comes around goes around. And I can't even think of any reason to not help your colleague or your junior, because you've also reached where you are by someone's help. You did not just parachute land on whatever position that you hold right now. And it is very nice, when you go to the courts and people come and touch your feet and they're like, Guruji. And, that kind of respect. Once a teacher, always a teacher. That's why I love so many aspects of this profession. I can't even imagine doing something else. I love the fact that there is no retirement age in law, because I feel you're growing every day, and you're growing on a day-to-day basis. You're more aware, more confident today than you were an hour back. So that is the level of learnings that you get in this profession.
Another aspect of you I have read from your LinkedIn profile is you are a posh expert. You have given lectures on sexual harassment laws, service matters as well. You have been teaching and guiding people all throughout your career, and you are an advocate on record for Supreme Court of India as well. So, ma'am, with this, I would like to start with the first question. When did you decide to become a lawyer? What motivated you? And also, through your practice years, when did you decide to become an AOR, and how has it helped you becoming the personality that you are? Thank you so much.
See, as far as the question as to when I decided to become a lawyer, actually, I did not really decide it. People decided it for me, because way back, even in school, for as long as I can remember, I used to love to argue. And I would always take the weaker side. For me, it was not, what opinion I had. For me, it was just like, acha, idhar log kam hai, so I will argue from here. I always loved that challenge. And my teachers would always say, कि, मतलब ये तुम इस issue में दिख भी क्यों रहे हो हमें? How is it related to you? And I would say, well, there is an issue, so there is me. I would put in my word. And as I grew up, my teachers were always, they used to recommend to me, well, Swati, you have your profession cut out for you. You love arguing so much, so why not be paid for that? Why don't you become a lawyer? So it was kind of decided already, and I did not really have to think about it. And I always love to listen to what kind of problems people are going through. And I mean, it's not even that I have to press myself. I genuinely love listening to them. And most of the times I feel half their problems, if they talk to someone, are sorted out. They're just looking for a year. I think it's the best thing to do in the world. I love my profession. I mean, if not a lawyer, I could have probably been a psychiatrist or something, some psychologist, which I also feel that I'm kind of right now also, because see, a lawyer is always also a psychiatrist or a psychologist to his clients. So I think that aspect of my choice of profession was chosen quite early on. And as far as AOR is concerned, well, the thing is that, see, when you are filing cases in the Supreme Court, sometimes you're monetarily constrained. I always used to be very much interested in doing pro bono work. So when it came to the Supreme Court filings, I realized that sometimes, the matter cannot afford the fee for an AOR. If you do not have an in-house AOR, if you do not have a person who believes in the issue, you might not be able to convince him to do the filing for free. Then I thought, what the hell? I mean, कितना एक एग्जाम ही तो देना है. How does it matter? I've always been an academician. I thought, चलो यार ये एग्जाम भी दे दो. And I was really surprised that I did not come first, with all humility. I was like, acha, first nahi aayi. So you can see how humble I am by nature.
Ma'am, you are absolutely humble. Even when you did not come first, it was an absolute accomplishment. And you did it for a greater cause. It was not just to pass exam or get more
Yeah, I
fees.
mean, that was one of the driving factors, because, there are certain matters that not everybody would be willing to do, and you have to convince them they kar le acha matter hai. And then I thought, ke chalo chodo, I'll do it myself. And that was the deciding factor primarily. Not for any kind of, हाँ AOR बनना है. I mean, for me, I'm the sort of person के काम चल रहा है तो चलने दो. क्या ही इसको लेके करेंगे. But then when it starts affecting your work, you realize के जितना टाइम किसी की खुशामद करेंगे उतनी देर में तो आप खुद ही AOR बन जाओ. And it's doable. See, everybody is doing it. It's totally doable. I feel that the only thing that stops you from getting something is whether you want to get it enough, how desperate you are to get it. If you want to get it enough, well, you end up getting everything. See, that Vicky Kaushal guy, did he not marry Katrina Kaif? So it's all a question of how desperately you want something. That is the only thing stopping you from getting something.
So was this the real motivation again for teaching so many people? You are by heart an academician. You love teaching, you love guiding people. So since childhood, it was pretty much set for you that you will be becoming a lawyer by your teachers, by your family. How did you move ahead in this particular education field? And you decided to do a PhD also with your busy professional life. And how has it helped you in obviously growing in professional terms as well as personal terms? Then you moved ahead and started talking about POSH and other sexual harassment issues. Where do you draw that motivation? You already are for all the good causes of society. How do you draw that motivation and how do you keep going?
I really don't know actually. See, so many people ask me कि ये तुम करते कैसे हो, and I really don't know myself. It's as if the path has been decided already, and I just keep simply walking. As far as the POSH thing is concerned, this was something that was very close to my heart for a long, long time. I remember I used to work in the area of domestic violence. And then it was one of my mentors who suggested that, look, Swati, you are doing wonderful work in the field of domestic violence. Why don't you look into this field also? It's an upcoming field. And at that point of time, I realized that yes, it is indeed a very, very, very important field, because, the percentage of women in the working sector is increasing by the day. So definitely this is going to cause problems in the future. It is sheer chance that it did turn out to be a very, very hot topic for debate today. And well, because I strongly, passionately feel about it, it kind of comes through. As far as teaching is concerned, it is definitely becoming more and more difficult with my schedule, but I tell myself that, look, I mean, people are doing it, right? And teaching, I feel, has aided a lot because it gives you that finesse. You are confronting a class of what, 80 to 100 students, and all of them are in the Delhi University. They have succeeded in reaching that place, they have eliminated competition. So they are difficult minds, to say the least. And you are confronting 80 to 100 brains. You're trying to teach something to them which makes sense to them. They are going to be coming up with their own questions, right? So you're practically training yourself as to how you need to convince a person, A, how you need to deal with their questions, B, and how do you continuously speak for 2 to 3 hours without getting tired. Because see, the throw of the voice, the projection of the voice, your body language, whether you feel comfortable in speaking to a group, whether you feel comfortable in addressing a crowd, all these things cannot be learned overnight. And now I have quite a few TV appearances regularly. I would say 2 to 3 TV appearances a month, sometimes more. So there was a time when I used to palpitate, that, oh my God, this is live TV. And what if I end up making, like I said, it is there for perpetuity. You cannot erase it If it is a live program, it will be there forever. And you lay yourself open to so much of ridicule, and people can kind of show it to you that, look, this is what you did, this is what you said. So I used to palpitate before every appearance. And now I'm like, see, it is what it is. We are humans, all prone to making mistakes. And how does it matter? I mean, if you've really given an honest effort and ended up saying something that was incorrect factually, you can always go back and correct it, or you can apologize. As long as you do not do it deliberately or in a negligent manner, I'm sure it can be forgivable, because you cannot just stop doing things fearing that you might do them incorrectly. You have to start somewhere. So I think academics has helped me a lot. And as far as, I think one of your questions was, how has PhD helped me? Well, it has. At the point of time when I was doing it, I told myself, ये मैं कर ही क्यों रही हूँ फालतू. And then people would come to me and say कि तुम्हारी practice नहीं चल रही क्या, तुम ये पढ़ाई लिखाई कर रहे हो, teaching कर रहे हो. And that used to be very demoralizing at that time. But then I would say कि well, शायद इसको कोई opportunity नहीं मिली इसलिए ऐसे कह रहा है. Right. And now when the judges address me as Dr. Jindal, I feel so proud of myself. You are somehow, at some level, you have brought yourself out of a regular crowd. I remember once one of my colleagues had pointed out to a person of very humble means who happened to be an advocate. I mean, you could make out he was somehow just loitering around the court complex. That person was an AOR who pointed it out to me, and he said, look, what is the difference between him and you? There is no difference. He's also an advocate and you are also an advocate. So how is it that you two are different? I said, well, I'm a doctor who is an advocate, and he's probably only an advocate. That is the difference. So any kind of value addition that you do to yourself, I'm not humbling all the advocates out there. So you have to realize that they're all LLBs, and it is very difficult. It's a 5-year course or a 3-year postgraduate course. It's not an easy task. You have to clear around 30 papers if you're doing a 3-year postgraduate course in order to become a lawyer. Even if you clear 29 out of 30, you're still not an advocate. It's as simple as that. So any kind of value addition that you do to yourself, whether it is as a doctorate or it is as an AOR, anything that you do, it will set you apart from that core group of advocates. And I would say that learning is a permanent procedure. That is why you call a lawyer's practice. It is not like I am a lawyer. People always say that I'm practicing as a lawyer, I'm practicing as an advocate, which shows that you can never really be perfect. Even if you die a Ram Jethmalani, you will still be practicing. Nobody is perfect. And they all say that practice till you are perfect. And in this profession, you can never be perfect. So it is sort of a moment for you to sit and self-reflect and tell yourself, today I had a meeting in the ministry, and the joint secretary told me, well, this is a very complicated matter, madam. And it was connected to some environment matters and how the islands need to be protected from sinking and all that. So he was throwing some technical terms, and he said, look, this is a very complicated matter and somebody would need to convince the judges. And I was like, okay, we'll try our level best to convince the judges, because we would convince ourselves first. So he said that this is what I love about lawyers, that they're willing to learn new things every day. I said, we just take it like somebody has thrown us in the water, and it's either drown or you learn how to swim. So only a lawyer would know the nitty-gritties of, say, for example, construction, or in a medical legal case, they would know about medical negligence. So they know what can go wrong in a human body. They would also know as to why a wife was tortured in the house, the nitty-gritties of who gets to cook in the morning, who's cooking in the evening. They would also know some sort of an injury that happened to a person during playing, participating in a sport. So this is one field where you know practically everything. You know as many cases as you have handled, you would know as many issues.
And I would like to ask you about your books. What motivated you to write the books? You said that when you did PhD and you are addressed at Dr. Jindal, you feel very proud. Obviously, it's a proud thing that you put DR in front of you. Now, when you were writing these books, again, the responsibility aspect would have been even much higher, because that will be in print also forever. So first, what motivated you, then the kind of courage you had about writing about women issues and other aspects. Please elaborate on those, and please name your books as well. It'll be a great learning experience for us.
You'll find it quite unbelievable, even I do for that matter. It's not like I had a plan that I will write a book someday. Things sort of keep happening to me by chance. The only good thing that I can say about myself is I don't give up the chances that I get. So I've been writing for a long, long time. Even way back in school, I used to write a lot. If it only was for the school magazines, I used to participate in a lot of debates. So writing was a habit. I used to love reading and writing. It was never forced. I mean, it was never a chore for me to read, Arey, ab to ye bhi padna padega. Never like that. I'm the sort of person who would also read the labels on a shampoo bottle, you know. If I'm just sitting there with conditioner in my hair, I would be like, kya kare, chalo ye bottle hi pad lete hain aaj to, you know. That sort of an attitude I have. So it'll be difficult for me to pass those 2 minutes. So I would randomly read things that were available. So as I was doing my PhD, I remember one of the publishing houses had approached me that, would you like to write a book on this topic? And I said, but मैंने भैया कभी book नहीं लिखी, you know. That was the level of naivety I had at that time. He said, मैडम आप तो लिख ही रहे हो ना, आपको सिर्फ इस हिसाब से लिखना है कि दुनिया में कोई भी इसको पढ़ सकता है और उसको उस टॉपिक पे फिर आइडिया होगा कि क्या है ये. And I told myself, well, why not? If they're ready to print, then how does it matter to me? I mean, I was amazed that, you know, if there are takers for this sort of a thing, then why not? So I sort of went ahead and I wrote a book on my PhD thesis at that time. And that moment, because somebody approached me, one of the publishing houses approached me. And, you know, I remember at that time, I told myself, well, अगर इनको छापने में कोई problem नहीं है, तो मुझे लिखने में क्या है? That is the kind of attitude I have. And that is how it all started. That was one book I wrote in totality. And there were a couple of other books that I wrote as co-authors. And then thereafter, I've been writing regularly in a lot of legal magazines. Till last year, I was writing one whole page in a national daily. It was a daily newspaper. So I had one page that used to come out every Wednesday, which was on law and justice. So, and now also I write in magazines that are weekly magazines. Then there are fortnightly magazines on social issues, primarily related to law. But once in a blue moon, I would also like write something on a spiritual footing because I like to believe that I'm a spiritual person. I mean, some of my friends are going to be laughing their ass off hearing this statement, but very, very deep down inside, I do believe that yes, I like to think that I'm a spiritual person. I'm a very God-fearing person. I believe you will get only what you deserve and nothing less and nothing more.
I'm very much interested in understanding your take on when you are writing. Has it increased your reach? How has it refined your career? How has it refined you as a person? Because it will be very beneficial for our learners to understand how important writing is, be it article writing, be it journal writing, be it a book writing. It will be highly appreciated if you share your insights.
Let me give you another example. If you have two baskets, and in one basket there are myriad colors, different colored balls, and you have to sort those balls and pick up some of them and put them in another basket. How many choices are you making? The first choice that you make is whether you actually want to do it or not. The second choice that you make is which color should you select first. The third choice you make is you are actually looking for that colored ball, picking it up and putting it in the other basket. Now, the next choice that confronts you is whether you want to continue this task having finished one color, or do you want to end it there? You know what I mean? What I'm trying to tell you is that when you take that active conscious decision of separating the balls of different colors, you have to actually make a conscious effort in selecting some of them and putting them together in such a way that it solves your purpose. So in your mind, you have millions and millions of words. When you take that active conscious decision to put those words to paper, the first thing that you need to decide is what is it that you want to write on? If, let's say, you want to write on women related issues, for example, how the working women today are being sexually harassed at their workplace and what are the laws in their favor, what is it that they can do? If you take that choice that, yes, I will write on it today, let's say that you want to write a 1500-word article. In order to write a 1500-word article, you would need to read thousands and thousands of words. Only then you will be able to select some of those words, put them down on paper in such a way that they make sense to the readers. So when you decide to write, you unconsciously, invariably also end up reading, which is imperative for anybody in this field. So for any one article that you write, you have to probably read for a week. And then there will be a time when you decide that all the reading that you've done over a period of years will somehow be there in your mind subconsciously. And there will be enough words inside of you that you can take them out and put them on paper whenever you want it. So this is the importance of writing. I don't know if I could have put it in a better way.
Now you have absolutely put it in the most beautiful way possible. By doing this, you will achieve this particular aspect. It's absolutely clear. So is this how you plan your post trainings as well? Because you have been training and guiding people and companies about how to become post compliant. How do you plan it and how do you deliver it? How has it impacted again your practice? How can a person get involved in such kind of aspects as a lawyer, as a person?
See, I have come across various trainings. I'm always very interested in seeing how other people conduct their post trainings. And I've realized that either they can be very, very academic about it. I mean, they would simply come and start speaking in a fancy manner and they would relay the law as it is. At the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, thanks for telling me something that is already there. I mean, I'm telling myself कि भाई ये इंसान अपनी जिंदगी का 1 घंटा तुम्हें दे रहा है. At least make it worth the while. So then, they're not looking at their watch again and again and they're like, यार ये मैडम कब चुप होगी? चाय टी ब्रेक आएगा, हम चाय पिए अपने घर जाएं, बिस्किट अच्छे हो, बस भाई चाय बढ़िया होनी चाहिए. I think that nothing can be more humiliating than that when people are actually being forced to listen to you. So for me, a post training is something that, there has to be a takeaway from them for me, and there has to be a takeaway for them from me. And that takeaway is not something that the Bear Act tells you already. Most of the times I'm conducting training sessions for trainers. So these are IC members or there are officers. Like tomorrow, I am conducting a training session for the Airport Authority of India. So these people are being called from all over India. They're IC members already, and I'm going to be training them. So see, they already know the law. I mean, I can't just go there and tell them the basics of law. What I can, in fact, tell them is that, this is the case that came to me in the court, and this is how we defended it. These were the problems. So make sure that you're not creating these problems in your workplace or you're not making these lapses as IC committees. So you have to somehow intertwine the legal with the practical in such a way that it makes sense to them. See, at the end of the day, everybody has like a palette of masalas at home, right? Everybody has a bunch of vegetables. It is how you put them together to make it palatable to the house. So the ingredients are there everywhere. But what I intend to teach my trainees is that how do you put those ingredients? How do you mix them in such a way that they make sense and they're a source of pleasure or they are a source of strength to whoever it is who's consuming those ingredients. So I try to kind of mix the legal with the practical in such a way that it is going to be of some use to the person who's hearing it. I mean, let it not be कि हमें ऐसा करना चाहिए या हमें वैसा करना चाहिए. Let it be a mix of हम अगर ये करेंगे तो ये होगा और ये करेंगे तो ये होगा. अब choice आपकी है कि आपको क्या करना चाहिए. Right? It's very easy to preach, but to give a meaningful answer, you need to be that much more accountable. And for being accountable, you need a lot of strength. So that accountability we have to create in people.
You actually have put it in the right words. That accountability part helps people relate with the
They
issues.
have to understand, of course, as IC members, they have to understand कि भाई तुमने अगर ये lapse कर दिया तो accused और complainant के अलावा बात तुम्हारे पर भी आ सकती है. So you need to know the law in order to guide them in the right direction.
So true, ma'am. So moving ahead with this particular aspect of yours that make people accountable, you have been empaneled with the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, which usually is considered one of the very complex issues, at least on earth for humans. How do you approach such kind of challenges which arise with these kind of legal matters, which involve not only environmental issues, but in fact, they are impacting human lives as well as any living being, even living creatures, animals, anyone. Environment is impacting everyone. So how do you take up those challenges with ease, the way you take it almost all your challenges head on? So how do you do that?
The only answer that you have is knowledge. So if you're faced with any challenge, the only thing that the aspect of the challenge that actually scares you is the not knowing part. See, if you're in a room at night and the light goes out, you will only be scared to go out if you do not know what lies outside. Once you have an idea, why do people feel so brave when they have a torch in their hand? Because that torch guides them. It tells them that देख बाहर कुछ नहीं है भाई, एक पौधा रखा हुआ है, वो हिल रहा था, right? So the only thing that gives you power is knowledge. Once you are prepared with the problem, once you know the solution, once you know the way ahead, you can tread ahead with full confidence, and that confidence will shine through. And you know what the general perception is, that the government is not doing anything, the judiciary is not doing anything. It's so easy to just sit at one place and say, "Arey, ye to kuch nahi karte. Arey, government to kuch nahi kar rahi." But when you actually go and see what efforts the government is making, there is no such one person that is called the government. Okay. If we go out and litter on the roads, is there that government guy roaming around to pick up the trash and put it back in your car from where you threw it? So it has to be a social responsibility which lies on everyone's shoulders. So as far as these ministry cases pertaining to environment are concerned, getting impaneled in this particular field, it really opened my eyes, and I did realize that, well, a lot many steps are being taken by the government, and they're really working day and night, and whatever can be done is being done in this area in order to make the country more habitable, more compliant. And the only thing that remains is for the public to take their way forward in the same direction and be really compliant themselves, because ultimately the laws can be made, but the compliance has to come from the ground level. So I think the best method to prepare for a case is to read as much as you can. Once you're aware of the idea, what it is that you have to find out, what are the laws pertaining to that particular matter, you will feel better about it, and you will in fact be in a position to give your own opinion. And from there on, the sky's the limit.
You are in a profession which demands too much seriousness, and how do you relax yourself? How do you find time for your family? And how is it in your free time, I would say, although you must not be having free time, but still?
See, I'll tell you what, I just like to find little amounts of, I call them my stolen moments. So when you go to the court and you realize that, okay, there is a gap between two matters, I would say a chai samosa is my stolen moment. I would chat around with my friends and just do small things. It really doesn't matter, actually. I'll tell you, I would call myself a very cheap date. It's very easy to please me. I mean, you wouldn't really have to take me to ITC or the Taj. I'm quite happy. It depends on the moment, actually. I think we all need to kind of appreciate the small pleasures of life and not really wait for that big moment to come. And that is when we will be happy. So that is imperative, I would say.
I would pick up this thing and I'll tell you that humbleness is something which I learned from you. And I feel like our learners also should pick this trait up and understand why being humble, being grounded is absolutely important for being successful. And successful does not only mean being on the topmost of everything, but this is also success for me. At least that's my understanding. I feel if you are absolutely humble, you are absolutely successful. It's not always money that matters. So
money does matter. I would say money plays a very big role, because that gives you that leverage where you can actually afford to say no to some matters that you don't believe in. So that is the important. You have an office to run. Of course, you need the money. But at the end of the day, you also have to ensure that the money is not coming through the wrong channels, because once you get stuck in that vicious circle, it is very, very difficult to break out of it. So that is a choice that you have to make early on in your career.
The kind of challenges which new generation is facing, the kind of challenges which new entrants to the profession usually face, and since you are sitting at the Supreme Court, you understand it much, much better, and you are running such a big office where everyone is welcome. What would be your suggestion, as in from the very starting, what should they be doing and how they can achieve? As you have already said that one should be reading a lot, one should be writing also, one can also think about academic sides and all exams. What would be your suggestion, ma'am, further in letting them plan a career?
See, there is only one thing that I would like to say to all the people who are planning to join this profession. I would just say keep going. That is the only thing that, never consider a work or any kind of case to be too small or too petty for you to take up. It's better than sitting idle, right? So don't wait for that big case to come to you, which will enable you to create a name for yourself and you will take only a big case, because no case is big or small. Actually, the smallest of cases would teach you something. If nothing else, then commitment. At least you will end up going to the court. So your visibility in the court matters. And visibility does not mean chai samosa. Okay. You're not just going there to have tea and eat samosa. You're going there to appear before the court. So any kind of work that you get initially, basically, I would say beggars are not choosers. When you start in the profession, you are a person who's begging for work. And how does it matter? Go ahead and beg. We are not supposed to solicit work, but if any work that comes our way, as long as your expenses are taken care of, forget about your professional fee, because at the end of the day, are you actually contributing professionally to that matter? It'll be years before you deserve the consultation fee that you get. Are you even talking sense that people should pay you for it? So in order to become that person to whom people would pay in order to be able to deliver words of wisdom, you have to have enough words in your armor, right? So till that time comes, do matters for free. How does it matter? I remember initially there were times when I ended up spending from my own pocket. I still do. I mean, for matters I feel deserve that kind of legal hearing, I still end up spending from my own pocket. See, that is why it is called a noble profession to begin with, because only nobility can afford to work without money. That is why it is a noble profession, not because it's very noble to be in it, but because at some level there is a financial constraint, at least for the person who joins it. Monetary rewards come at the fag end. And when they do, actually, you don't even have the time to bear the fruit or the happiness of that monetary income. It is your family or your children or the office that will enjoy that legacy. But at that point of time, when the money starts pouring it, you don't even have the time to spend it. You don't know where to spend it actually. What is it that a lawyer needs? Some books, a Wi-Fi connection today, and some nice shoes, I think, clean clothes. I think our demands are very, very limited. Some peace and quiet, that is all we need in order to sit and work, because you start enjoying your work by that time. You're not even looking for money, कि मैं ये छुट्टी ले लूं, वो छुट्टी ले लूं. Even if the छुट्टी comes to you, you'll be like, यार ये अब क्या करें? Workaholics, that is one of the side effects of being a lawyer. You will create work if you don't have it.
As you create by writing, by training, by
Of
teaching,
course.
everything.
Of course, of course.
We'd like to again thank you for being
Thank you
here with us.
so much. I had a good
Thank you
time.
so
Thank you,
much.
guys.
Lovely meeting you, ma'am.
Bye-bye.